Good morning. It is Wednesday, September 2nd, 2015. This is your morning edition on I-24 News. Coming up later today, new figures and images highlight the unprecedented scale of Europe's refugee crisis as hundreds are stranded outside Budapest's main railway station, demanding travel to Germany. Lebanese protesters break into the Environment Ministry in downtown Beirut, staging a sit-in outside the minister's office and demanding his resignation over the country's snowballing trash crisis. And later on the show, a joint Israeli-German theater production attempts to come out from under the shadow of the Holocaust. Good morning, I'm Yael Levi, and we begin with the ongoing refugee crisis overwhelming Europe. Hundreds of refugees are stranded in Hungary at Budapest's main railway station, demanding passage into Germany, which has eased asylum restriction for Syrian refugees. Now, the standoff in Budapest comes as new figures reveal more than 350,000 people have risked their lives to cross the Mediterranean from war-ravaged Africa and the Middle East so far this year. According to the numbers released by the IOM, 235,000 men, women, and children arrived in Greece alone, eclipsing the total for all of Europe in 2014. The rest have come either through Italy or more recently via land from Turkey and into the Balkans, with all one goal: to make a better life for themselves and their children, or in essence, just save their own lives, depending on what war-torn Middle East country they originated from. Upon arrival, the desperate migrants are met with scenes of near chaos, as some EU states refuse to admit them, while those that do can, for the time being, offer them a little more than humanitarian assistance. I'm joined in studio by the director of the Center for European Studies at IDC Herzliya, Dr. Esther Lupatin. Good morning to you. With me in studio also Ami Kaufman, a one and only I-24 News contributor. And before we break it down, let's take a look at the following report about the latest from Europe and this overwhelming refugee crisis and break it down.
Europe saw one of its most dramatic days since the migration crisis began. More than 3,600 migrants, the largest daily number this year, have reached Vienna by train. Some spoke of the difficulties they face on their way to Western Europe.
We saw the death, like Syria. They put us in jail, they make us sleep, they don't give us food or water. Anyone try to escape, they hate us. And the police, like Syrian.
Germany, Germany.
Meanwhile, in Budapest, hundreds of angry migrants protested after Hungary closed the Keleti railway station.
Please, can you give me my money?
This is a complete change of policy by the Hungarian authorities, who only a day beforehand let undocumented migrants move to Germany.
And our requests are very, very simple. Just we need just release, just to pass Hungary.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel said Syrian refugees are welcome in Germany, considering the horrific situation in their country of origin. But Merkel also pointed out that Germany cannot be the only European country to pay the price.
I think we should just work on a joint asylum policy in Europe, just like we had discussed with Spain, instead of accusing each other. Instead, we must change something. This includes these hotspots, registration centers, which need to be set up quickly.
These latest events are also encouraging many Germans and Austrians to volunteer to help the new migrants with food and aid. But now Europe's countries have to decide on their next step as the wave of migrants continues to storm the continent.
We're going live first, straight to London, where I-24 News European correspondent Jonathan Sachedati is standing by. Jonathan, I just want to touch first on the dealings of Europe with this overwhelming stream of refugees into the continent. What are we looking at when it comes to these upcoming talks, supposedly on Monday, between EU countries of trying to assist each other in taking in these numbers of people?
The EU's immigration policy is falling apart before our eyes. It just wasn't designed for this sort of influx of migrants. And that is becoming clear day by day, as we saw around 3,000 migrants arriving at the main station in Budapest and being denied entry to the trains that they had mostly bought tickets for to take them to Germany, which is accepting, as you saw there in the report, all immigrants who are seeking asylum from Syria. But if they can't get to Germany, they're unable to do that. Now, the Hungarians say, for their part, that they are simply applying European law, and the Schengen law in particular, which says that those who arrive seeking asylum need to do so in the first country they reach in the European Union. But that surely can't have been a law designed with this in mind, with thousands and thousands of people arriving in Greece, in Hungary, and in Italy, because those are entry points to the European Union. And those countries are also struggling to be able to cope. They're trying to keep the immigrants out by erecting fences or having tighter security, but they're not able to cope when they have the immigrants in, and yet they have these laws which they need to obey. So that is the challenge for the European Union in the days and weeks ahead. It's to figure out exactly what a unified European policy will be.
What a unified European policy will be, and if they are able to deal with it. Jonathan, do stay with us for this bit. Dr. Lupatin, head of the European department at the IDC. I've recently just came back from Europe. You can feel also the stream of refugees, specifically in Berlin. But all these restrictions, putting aside the minutiae of the bureaucracy, I mean, this goes to the core of the fact that Europe, first of all, are they set to handle this financially, the Europeans? It's a big question.
Well, yeah. I think one of the biggest problem here, there's a lot of resentment because it takes a lot of money.
Exactly.
One of the things that the Germans are saying, it's going to pay, we're going to pay a lot of money for handling these refugees, beyond the fact that they perceive them as constitute a threat to the national identity, competing with them on future jobs, and also constitute a threat to the personal security, because we have to remember most of these asylum seekers are from Muslim background, and because we know the statistics, 61% of the Germans are saying that Muslims are not compatible with their Western values. So there's a lot of antagonism vis-a-vis Muslim migrants and refugees, and which explains, part of the reason why they're actually hesitating to get so many asylum seekers, from
the Middle East.
From the Middle East. But I think that the problem is, Jonathan mentioned, what we call the Dublin Convention. Dublin Convention was signed in 1990 and was ratified in 1997. And indeed, according to the EU law, an asylum seeker his application for asylum has to be processed in the first country that he arrives. And that's why they take a fingerprint, because if you arrive in Hungary, but then you flee to Germany, the German authority can actually send you back to Hungary.
To Hungary because
the idea was, originally, asylum seekers, if he came from Ghana and his application was denied for asylum, he could actually ask for asylum anywhere in Europe, like in Germany, in Denmark, everywhere. But in order to decrease the number of asylum applications, the EU came up with the idea, okay, there's only one application for asylum. It means that when you arrive in Hungary, exactly.
But that's what we saw in Greece, a country falling apart financially that cannot handle the mass amount of people that are streaming in. But Jonathan, still with us from the UK, I'm wondering with you, because there are some countries, as you're sitting in right now, that don't seem to be willing to take anybody in the case of the UK.
So the UK is an interesting example. Firstly, it's not part of that Schengen zone with open movement.
Right.
And it's now, in a sense, quite happy with itself for not being in that situation. The UK has rehoused very, very few Syrian refugees comparatively, whereas you heard there that Germany is willing to rehouse and allow in anyone from Syria.
Right.
So there's a marked contrast there. And across the whole of Europe, all these different European states all have slightly different intentions when it comes to these migrants. That, of course, others are saying is totally unfair. Either this is a European Union, which will deal with this all collectively, spreading the burden so that the financial strain isn't all put on certain countries. And for example, Greece is the least able possibly to be able to stand up to that sort of economic pressure, and yet is experiencing a huge amount of this immigration influx. So really, the European Union is in dire need of some sort of solution where the member states would agree to share this burden. And yet, all of those member states need to get together. That doesn't happen so urgently. All of those member states then need to actually agree on what the unified policy will be. And in the meantime, the immigrants are still coming in their thousands every day and still struggling, sleeping now, for example, on the steps of the train station in Budapest. These are people who have fled some of the most tyrannical regimes in the world, people who have experienced war, people who have hunger and famine.
These are children, these are many, exactly, children and women that we see in these pictures, men, children and women that's clearly feel that it's just unsafe to be in the lands that they are, and they are right. Jonathan, very valid point, because we are discussing thus far what we've discussed is, it's the minutiae of the bureaucracy of moving around Europe right now and the need for a unified policy, but it's about people. It's about those people that Jonathan mentioned, refugees who are fleeing war-torn countries. Let's take a look at the following report of what they need to go through in order to find a safe haven.
Stun grenades, batons and barbed wire. On some days, Macedonia struggles to control the flow of migrants and refugees across its border from Greece, where thousands arrive each day. Many of these men, women and children are fleeing the war in Syria, but there are others from Iraq, Pakistan and Afghanistan, like Aziz, who says he was tortured by the Taliban for studying English.
I escaped from Afghanistan, came to the Iran, and after then I came to the Turkey. About the 6 months I was in the Turkey. After then I came to the Yunan, and after the Yunan I came here.
A 4-hour train journey takes them across Macedonia. Most are trying to reach Northern Europe, with Germany and Sweden among the more popular destinations. Many walk at night to save time and avoid the heat of the day, like this group that's just crossed over into Serbia. Talal, a father of 3, lost most of his belongings when his boat began to sink during the Mediterranean crossing after fleeing his home in Syria.
It's difficult to stay there and no future for my children, and I lost my job, I lost everything. I'm engineering, my wife is a teacher, no income, no work, no everything.
Their journey continues through Serbia by bus and on foot towards the key border with Hungary, the doorway to the passport-free Schengen area and the hope of free travel in Europe. But as refugees arrive in record numbers, Hungary is racing to put up a razor-wire fence, aiming to block its entire 175-kilometre frontier by the end of the month.
Not very beautiful, but we're gonna cross anything. We crossed many things. We're gonna cross anything.
This group is relieved and happy to make it across the border in time. But the next arrivals may not be so lucky. Budapest says it will send dogs, horses and helicopters in September to beef up security.
I think it's remarkable pictures that we're looking at from Europe of these barbed wires and refugees trying to cross in. Time to go to Berlin, where we're joined by I-24 News contributor Polina Garayev. Polina, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you for being with us. When it comes to Germany, first, one of the countries in the European Union that has actually eased or said, and that's why everybody wants to reach it, it's easing its restrictions specifically about Syrians. What is the feeling of the German people? What are the reactions to that by the German citizens?
Well, I think that the welcoming that the recent refugees coming from Hungary received in Munich, for example, yesterday was truly extraordinary. Police have wrote that it was overwhelmed by the amount of donations received by citizens. And people were gathering at the train station with signs and food and just giving it to the people coming. However, Bavaria is still considered one of the most conservative countries, and its leader, the prime minister, is one of the most outspoken voices calling to curb this influx of refugees. So the public opinion is very divided. On the one hand, you have almost 60% of the population who say that is in support of more refugees coming to Germany. On the other hand, incidents like in Heidenau, although an extreme case, but still, torching of refugee shelters became an everyday event here in Germany in recent days and weeks.
In recent days, the torching, and Dr. Lopatin, you're sitting here with me, and we discussed this many times off camera, as you and I. I mean, I think it's phenomenal that one country in Europe, Germany and Austria, easing restrictions, but for the population, the local civilian population, not just Germany, in Europe, this is a hard thing to accept, isn't this?
We have to understand, like almost like a year and a half ago, like in May 2014, there was an election for the European Parliament, and we all saw the results. There was like a huge increase of the number of seats of reserved to right-wing in the European Parliament. And one of the reasons for the rise of the increase of, support of right-wing extremism in Europe is because many actually Europeans have said that they think that that immigration asylum policy of the EU is too soft, is too lenient. And they would like actually to decrease the number of asylum seekers and migrants enter into the EU, and also family members. Right. And we have to understand that, many people think that there is no policy, there's no European common asylum and immigration policy, but in fact we do have a policy since 1999 as a result of Amsterdam Treaty. And if you look at the policy, through these years, it's very clear. The intention was to decrease the number of asylum seekers and migrants, except actually for skilled migrants, IT, computers, IT from India or from Asia.
Which can be
useful for the economy.
Useful and controlled number-wise.
Yeah.
But ultimately we're looking at a population, an internal population here, that's turning and veering to the right because of the refugees or because of the asylum seekers, which is a sad thing. It's also time to go now to Geneva, where we're joined by William Spindler, Senior Communications Officer from the UNHCR, the United Nations Refugee Agency. Mr. Spindler, good morning, and thank you for joining us. I just want to quantify how serious this crisis is right now on the continent that is Europe. And what is, in your mind, as somebody who represents the UN, what should Europe do? Because we're talking about, several restrictions and laws that differ from one country to another, but what should be done right now by that continent?
Well, the problem is precisely that every country is responding to this situation in isolation. Some countries are building walls and fences. Other countries have very generous asylum policies. And what we would like is a more coordinated, coherent approach in which regular, safe, legal ways for refugees to come to Europe are established. There are already some programs, but we would like more of those, so that refugees can be resettled in Europe, so that refugees that have family in Europe, because many of those who are trying so desperately to come have already relatives here, humanitarian visas and so on. So that's one thing that needs to be done on one hand. On the other, let's not forget that the vast majority of refugees are not in Europe. They are in the Middle East and in Africa. Mm-hmm. And in our view, it makes sense to help them where they are at the moment, make conditions for them decent so that they don't need to come to Europe looking for safety and assistance and risk their lives in this way.
I mean, that would be phenomenal, but I'm assuming that it would be naive to think it would be wonderful if we can solve the situation in the Middle East. But I mean, it's a war-torn, it's a war-torn region where the wars are just raging on. I'm wondering if you have any hope or faith in the meetings that will be held at the beginning of next week by EU members that there will be some cohesive policy in the time being when you cannot ease the situation for the people fleeing the regions from where they're coming from. Do you think that something will come out of those meetings?
Well, we hope so, because we need to improve conditions for people arriving in Europe at the moment. But as long as we have the conditions in countries of asylum deteriorating, people will continue to flee. Right. What we have at the moment is people fleeing the carnage in Syria. We have families fleeing in large numbers, going through Turkey into Greece, but not staying in Greece, as we've seen. They move through the Balkans and try to make their way through Central and Northern Europe, especially to Germany. What we would like is a more coherent way in which the EU as a whole can share the responsibility of looking after these refugees. At the moment, some countries are receiving the brunt of the arrivals, and others are receiving very few. The numbers that are arriving are too many for a single country to deal with, but not for the whole of the EU that has a combined population of 500 million people.
No, thank you for clarifying that. And finally, to you, Dr. Lopatin, in this same question, do you have hope in those meetings on Monday that Europe can find a cohesive procedure that takes all these people in and actually distributes them around the continent?
I think what's going to happen, it's very clear that Germany is going to push for distribution of asylum seekers. But you have to understand, in the last 20 years, the European Union has been trying to find a mechanism, for burden sharing mechanism. Like in the Yugoslavia crisis, when Germany actually accepted 350,000 Bosnian refugees, they asked to share the burden with other European countries, and they refused. the Greeks actually authority for many years, because Southern European countries have been admitted more refugees than any other countries until recently. And eventually, I remember, like, you know, when I was in some of the meetings in the European Parliament, you know, the Greek foreign minister actually begged other colleagues and said, like, please share the burden with us. And they say, no, maybe if the call is coming from Germany, it's going to be different. And I suspect that what's going to happen is, like, Merkel is going to ask for sharing the burden of asylum seekers. And we have to understand that in Germany itself, you know, there are 16 lenders. Exactly. Asylum seekers are being distributed like according to the size of the population and economic situations. For example, in Bavaria, they have to accept 15% of the asylum seekers, Baden-Württemberg 13%, Berlin 5%, Hamburg 2.5%. So it's really like a question of, like, you know, the size of the population and I think she's going to try to apply the same mechanism
to
at the European level.
No, yeah. Which hopefully this will work, and hopefully this will work. Dr. Luppatin, I want to thank you for being with us this morning and all our guests overseas as we move along. We're moving along because it's time, finally, to say good morning to Mr. Kaufman.
Good morning, Yael.
Yes, with your lilac lavender shirt.
Isn't it gorgeous? Thank you.
It's gorgeous. But I can't be distracted because you're here to tell us the news we've missed while scanning the headlines.
Yes, well, we're going to start with Obama and his President Obama and his visit to Alaska. You know, there's a lot of build-up for this visit.
There's a huge build-up.
It's almost as if he's visiting another country sometimes, when he, like to Africa or to Asia, but it's in the America. Let's remember that this is a state. There's a lot of build-up to it, and he's going to address, of course, the effects of climate change.
It's pairing his bucket list.
Let's see some more of it. We have a report about it.
Okay, let's take a look.
With a hike on a glacier, the White House says President Obama is seeing firsthand the effects of global warming.
And we want to make sure that our grandkids can see this.
A part of his historic visit to Alaska, which he kicked off with news of a name change for North America's tallest mountain, Mount McKinley, back to its native Alaskan name, Denali.
It's about time it goes back to its original name.
And while this decision from President Obama was welcome news for many Alaskans who fought for the name change for decades, lawmakers from President McKinley's home state of Ohio did not share their joy.
We think it's too bad that the administration has chosen to go around Congress and to do this.
President Obama made the announcement just before traveling to Anchorage, Alaska. The purpose of this trip? Warn about the dangers of global climate change and to call for other nations to take immediate action, stressing his administration is committed to taking new steps to make sure the U.S. can operate in the Arctic year-round.
So if we do nothing, temperatures in Alaska are projected to rise between 6 and 12 degrees by the end of the century, triggering more melting, more fires, more thawing of the permafrost.
And as part of its push for a safe and secure Arctic, the White House says it will invest in new Coast Guard icebreakers and provide more funding for scientific missions in the Arctic. Elizabeth Herr, ABC News, New York.
Yeah, I mean, what I love about looking at this, like, last year of the Obama presidency, is that he's having a ball.
Yeah, well, in the last year, last 2 years, you always have these like legacy building trips. And it's good to have them in picturesque places, you know, with mountains behind you and things that are really big photo op moments.
But it's a PR trip. I mean, rightfully so, with all the notions, the right notions about the environment. But yeah.
Speaking about legacy building, the legacy of same-sex that was legalized by the Supreme Court in June, we heard about, you know, some judges that were saying that they're not going to give gays marriage licenses and such, but they kind of backtracked. There's one clerk in Kentucky that has denied same-sex marriage license for a few months now, and she is standing very firm. Yesterday, she did not give a license again, even though the court told her, to a gay couple called David Ermold and David Moore, who brought some journalists with them. This was a very intense moment. I want to show you just 1 minute of this.
Please.
Amazing footage. Watch
Let's take a look.
Injunction is the order that you're supposed to issue marriage licenses.
And we're not issuing marriage licenses
today. The Supreme Court denied your stay.
We are not issuing marriage licenses today. So
Based on what?
I would ask you all to
Why are you not issuing marriage
licenses
today?
Because I'm not.
Under whose authority are you not issuing
Under
licenses?
God's authority.
Did lawyers tell you? I don't
Did God
believe
tell
in your
you
God.
to do this? Did God tell you to treat us
I don't
like
believe in your
this?
I've
God.
asked you all to leave. You are interrupting my
You can call the police if you want us to leave. You can call the police. I pay your salary. I pay your salary. I pay you to discriminate against me right now. That's what I'm paying for. That's what I'm paying for. I'm paying for this memory with my partner that I love, that I've been with for 17 years. What's the longest you've been with someone that you've been married to someone?
I'm asking you to leave.
I'm not leaving.
Okay, you all
I'm asking you.
just
I'm not
push back
leaving.
away. You all are more than welcome to stay. Just
I
push
can't
back
help
away
that
from
the
the
president's
counter.
here.
No.
Just push back
We're
away
not
from the
leaving until
counter.
we have a license. We're not leaving
Then
until
you're
we
going
have
to
a
have a
license.
long day.
Well,
Good
then
day.
call the police. When they come, I will ask them to arrest you.
Do your job.
Call the police. Call the police.
Amazing,
Wow.
amazing footage. That was very intense. They lasted even longer afterwards. I just showed you a minute of that.
No, and not only that, I mean, that has been going viral also.
It's been going
It's
viral.
going viral on social networks. I'm wondering not just for the future of this woman's job, which clearly she should not be holding, but, you
She
know,
should not be holding, but they should find a solution for her
Exactly.
because
Because she's
this
not
is against
one. She's
I
not
want
the minority.
Right, and I want
Yeah.
to read what she said. To issue a marriage license which conflicts with God's definition of marriage, with my name affixed to the certificate, would violate my conscience. You know what? The U.S. has to deal with that because they have to
exactly.
find a solution for her as well. I'm sorry.
No, I completely. If you cannot change people's minds, but you know, find a solution for all of them in that scenario.
Yes.
Fascinating. Yes.
Speaking about someone who seems to be a bit more open, Pope Francis himself is going to allow priests to forgive abortion. This is actually a really important move because, and it's going to be actually for something called a holy year, which starts in December. It's only going to be for 1 year exactly, but it's an easing of a church bureaucracy because a woman who wanted absolution for abortion, which is considered a very grave sin, had to wait for the authorization of the bishop. The priest had to go to the bishop first, and it would take a long time, and she would be ostracized, of course, in many countries that are Catholic. Now the priest on the very much lower level can give her this very much needed absolution. Very important move.
And no, incredibly, and I think I have to say, because this Pope comes from South America.
Right.
And in many ways, I think that we saw so many women seriously die of illegal abortions in South America. It's
Very
just
true.
that he's bringing in things that he actually experienced in his time as a priest, whatnot, from the countries that were suffering from these old doctrines.
He's making the church a much more forgiving
Forgiving a bit more for the people, and you know, hopefully this will work in faster than 300 years. Yes.
Turkey, we have a headline here from the Hurriyet, the local, that they arrested 2 British journalists from Vice, the online website. Very important website, read by a lot of young people, especially millennials. And they were the reports that they were arrested after police acted on a tip-off and confiscated the footage shot during their reporting in southern Turkey, where they're covering the issues, you know, with the Turks are fighting the PKK.
The PKK.
And they were being charged that they support ISIS as well. So we're going to have to see, and they've been held in detention for about a week now. We're awaiting a trial. We're going to have to see what happens with them. So there's a lot of issues about freedom of speech in Turkey.
Freedom of speech is very important in this region. Sadly, all the time we have it. We're going to stay in the region. When we get back, we're going to take a look at the Lebanese protesters storming the Environment Ministry as the trash crisis there, so to speak, spirals out of control. Stay with us. First, the news. I-24 News Morning Edition is still Wednesday, September 2nd, 2015. I'm going to start the following item with a word that no journalist likes to say, and that is rumors and reports. Rumors and reports that Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas is retiring from politics and diplomacy are very premature and are not expected anytime soon. That is a statement Palestinian sources tried to relay to the Israeli media yesterday after those rumors of the Palestinian leader resigning surfaced yet again in the local press in the region. Rumors of Abbas supposedly telling confidants he won't seek re-election to the top posts in the PLO and his Fatah movement in upcoming elections in the Palestinian territories have been swirling around for a while, including the idea that the 80-year-old leader plans to step down as president because all roads to Palestinian statehood appear blocked. But analysts cast all of that rumor and supposition simply to inner political moves for Abbas. Does all this have any bearing on the future of the Palestinian Authority? That's what we're going to try and figure out today. And with me in studio is I-24 News senior Middle East analyst Ali Waqid. Good morning to you. With me also is the head of the program on the Israeli-Palestinian relations at the INSS, retired Brigadier General Shlomo Brom. Good morning to you. Thank you for being with us. Let's take a look at the following report and break it down from there.
Long months of rumors are now reaching their peak as Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas ponders further moves that might be signaling his impending resignation. Less than 2 weeks after Abbas declared he was quitting of the Palestinian Liberation Organization's Executive Committee, new reports indicate the Palestinian president will also not be running for re-election as the committee's chairman in 2 weeks and is looking for candidates to replace him. However, Abbas stepping down from his role as the head of the executive committee does not mean he will stop being the PA president. The PLO, Palestine Liberation Organization, and the Palestinian Authority are two separate bodies. The PLO is the official, recognized, and legitimate institute which represents the Palestinian people, while the Palestinian Authority operates separately and was established following the Oslo Accords as a temporary entity to govern the Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza until an official Palestinian state is formed. Yet the Secretary General of the Fatah Revolutionary Council, Amin Makbul, denied Tuesday that this move is a part of Abbas's intention to leave the political life.
Abu Mazen said that he wants to give a space for other factions to participate. We asked him to think again, especially in this hard and serious period, and amid the effort by some people to get rid of him.
But in the meantime, in the Arab media, indications of an imminent resignation are piling up, with the latest being a report that Abbas updated the Jordanian King Abdullah in their last meeting in Amman that he intends to quit. In early August, it was reported that Abbas has also notified Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi of his decision to step down within 2 months' time. In any case, replacing Abbas will not be an easy task. The Palestinian constitution deems that in order to choose a new president, general elections must be held both in the West Bank and in the Gaza Strip. But the ongoing power struggle between Abbas's Fatah party ruling the West Bank and Hamas ruling the Gaza Strip has prevented any elections for president or parliament since the last ones held back in January 2006. At the moment, it doesn't seem any easing of their political tension can be expected. But if Abbas indeed does go ahead and resign, the political chaos may come to dominate the Fatah movement itself, as many are waiting for their chance to be the one to inherit the prestigious role of president.
Let's go straight to Nasser Laham, chief editor of Palestinian news agency MAN. Mr. Laham, thank you for joining us this morning. All rumor and supposition, but the day after Abbas, is there a number two? Is there somebody who might replace him in the future?
It's good morning. It's a personal opinion. I think that the stronger man in the Palestinian society now to fulfill this mission is Marwan Barghouti. Without a lot of explain, everybody knows that he is in the Israeli jail.
Yes.
But this is there is no conflict between to be in the Israeli jail and to be a leader. So a lot of the Palestinian leaders was and now in the Israeli jail. It's not easy to talk about that, especially in the communication of the Palestinian society. But I think that he is a common person between the Palestinian lines and the Palestinian parties now, especially between the generations. He is also the common between who is coming from outside with Yasser Arafat from Tunisia and who is from the occupation land here in the Palestinian territory.
And actually, I mean, I think that one of the criticisms always heard about Abu Mazen is that he doesn't have that fighting background, so to speak, that Arafat had for him. It's a fascinating point, and with us in studio, INSS former retired Brigadier General Shlomo Brom is Marwan Barghouti, who sits in an Israeli jail right now. And this is actually what we've heard just now from Mazen is something that I've heard in the past 20 years, or sorry, in the past 15 years, that Marwan Barghouti is actually the heir apparent. Could that hold?
Well, he is the most popular political leaders among this stream of the Palestinian national movement, namely Fatah and the groups around it. But that may be a result of his being in jail for so many years. You know, jail makes leaders in many cases. So first, I doubt whether Israel will release him from jail. So electing him to the position of a leader will be symbolic, but not practical.
Not practical, as you know, there's some rumor and supposition that, because this is a rumor type item, that actually Israel is holding him in jail in order to maintain him as a leader. Ali, your opinion about this, because I want to make it clear, Abbas is not resigning from position of president, but is that a move, what we've heard yesterday, is it to stabilize his position within the Palestinian society as president? Is this just back maneuvering all these, you know, gesturing that he's going to quit, which he clearly is not?
It is ultra real because on one hand he is very tired and he would like to retire when he thinks that the Palestinian house, as he defined it, will be in a stable situation in case of a resignation. On the other hand, I think that in the year 2004, Abu Mazen was part of a Palestinian group of the Palestinian leadership who convinced Arafat, who imposed on Arafat to pass the weight from the PLO to the Palestinian Authority, to the prime ministry at the time, and to the presidency. Right. So when he now is quitting or threatening to quit from the head of the PLO, it's not the same as of the Palestinian Authority, because the political weight has passed to the president of the Palestinian Authority, and it is not as dramatic as it was in the case if he is threatening to quit from the presidency. In order to quit from the presidency, we need to see, or Abu Mazen will decide all of a sudden to go home and to leave everything, or to arrange elections. I don't see in the current situation of the Palestinians that elections are organized. There is the issue, of course, of Jerusalem vis-a-vis Israel, and the elections in the Gaza Strip. But for the moment, we will receive a hint next month when the Palestinian National Council will meet and will decide maybe to inaugurate the post of vice president. This will be a sign that Abu Mazen is preparing a number two, and I'm totally agree with Mr. Laham when he says that Marwan Barghouti is the most popular. It is the most popular not because Abu Mazen is in love with Marwan Barghouti, because he is the man that can also confront those who Abu Mazen does not want to see them at the head of the Palestinian Authority, for example, Muhammad Ahlan, and that Marwan Barghouti can be a concurrent to Hamas, for example, and the popularity in the street. So Abu Mazen is
somebody that Hamas can accept,
and that Hamas can accept,
and they do accept it. But Mr. Brahman, I'm wondering with you, Israel, looking at all these political minutiae that are happening within the Palestinian Authority, what is Israel hoping for, in your opinion?
You know, a number of people said in the past that Israel has no foreign policy, it has only domestic policy. And the current government in Israel is based on a narrow right-wing coalition. Now, there are different views in this coalition. There are those that understand that President Abbas is the best Palestinian political leader Israel can offer. So this will hope that it's only an empty threat and he will not retire. It's only a political maneuver. But there is quite a strong stream in the government that will be happy to see him move, because they would like to have a Palestinian leader.
I'm not sure they will be happy to see what will be the situation when he leaves.
When he leaves, exactly.
I want to explain why. Because they will be happy to see a more so-called extreme Palestinian leader, because it will make the job of Israel
the arguments
easier
of the right-wing government to say we have to go in because X, Y, Z is happening there.
Exactly.
Or in other words, the situation remains the same. I want to thank you, Mr. Brom, for being with us this morning as we move along. Anti-government demonstrations in Lebanon have staged 3 large rallies in the past 2 weeks, and yesterday a group stormed the Environment Ministry. Protests are the most significant public expression of anger towards Lebanon's dysfunctional system of government in years. Is this the beginning of another Arab Spring? Everybody's been asking this question over the past last week. Ali Waqid still with us in studio. Let's take a look at the following report and break it down from there.
The youth stink Lebanese protests are intensifying as on Tuesday, the anti-government protesters stormed the Environment Ministry in Beirut, calling on Environment Minister Mohammed Mahnouk to resign.
We are here. We took the ministry from the corrupted people who are occupying it, and we're not leaving from here until the minister resigns. It's as simple as that.
Lebanon has been hit by a series of protests against the government ignited by a waste crisis in the country. In recent weeks, the demonstrations turned more and more political and violent as protesters took the streets of the Lebanese capital, calling on the government to resign due to what they say is incompetence and corruption.
I'm here today because my anger is so huge I couldn't sit at home. I came to listen to the others who share this anger. We shouldn't nag without doing anything. At least my voice will reach a single politician who is misusing power.
Last Tuesday, a cabinet meeting aimed at finding solutions to the deteriorating crisis ended without result, as 6 ministers walked out after new waste management contracts were rejected as too expensive. The ministers are from the political wing of the Hezbollah organization and from the Free Patriotic Movement, which supports it, and are backing the demonstrations, eager to bring down the government. The political structure in Lebanon is highly sensitive, having a built-in mechanism aimed at securing sectarian representation. But the National Unity Government, led by the Lebanese Prime Minister Tamam Salam, has practically been paralyzed since it took office last year due to the deep sectarian rivalries. 4 years ago, when the Arab Spring swayed the Middle East, Lebanon managed to remain stable. Now, it seems the winds of change are blowing in the direction of the cedar country as well.
Okay, putting winds of change aside, Ali, because I am looking, we're looking at pictures that I think anybody who's not in Lebanon would think, oh my God, it's a new Arab Spring. Explain to me why it's not.
I would like to think, as Ali, that this is a new Arab Spring or the wind of change, but in the sectarian atmosphere in which Lebanon is living, I'm not sure that even a demand that is passing through all camps in Lebanon against corruption and against the political system will not succeed to bring a new Arab Spring to Lebanon, just because the sectarian divisions are so deep. Lebanon is an integral part of the Syrian crisis in which Sunnite and Shiites are killing each other, and in between there are the Christian minorities that are also suffering from the jihadist group that are, some of them, supported by some groups in Lebanon. What I'm thinking that the political echelon in Lebanon will try to unite against these popular demands in order to keep their privileges and in order to keep the situation, the current situation as it is, with some cosmetic changes. Now the question will be whether those who are organizing the protest campaign will be strong enough in order to convince leaders, popular leaders from all camps, to join and to unite in this civilian demands and to try to create a situation that the political echelon will have will not be able to ignore and will change. The problem is that even if you change a contract here or a contract there, the sectarian repartition in the power in Lebanon, this ministry is for this group, that ministry is for that sect, and this contract go for another group, another community. If it is not put on the table, I think that with all the romantic pictures that we are seeing, we are anticipating more of the same, even if there will be some local cosmetic changes.
And not only that, I'm wondering out loud with you, because maybe this is the only way. You mentioned this in studio, I think it was several days ago, that in many ways, with all the sectarian divisions of the population of Lebanon, the way the government is set up right now, with every ministry belonging to people who, this is this sect, this is that sect, and they don't discuss, it's the only way Lebanon can work in many ways, no?
For the moment, this is the only way. But this way is bringing that corruption that is pulling people out to the streets. And I think that the Lebanese population and the Lebanese elites need to rethink a new formula that will allow both respecting every community, but also fighting corruption.
Fighting corruption within. When we get back, something different. Stay with us. First, the news. We're looking at German-Israel relations. Welcome back. It is still Wednesday, September
2nd. We just
I like catching Ami Kaufman off guard. I live for that. The year is still 2015.
Well done.
Yeah, I'll grab you every morning. It's still the morning edition. It's still the place you should be, not because of Ami Kaufman, because of me. But
ouch, ouch.
We're moving along with actually a very interesting item this morning. In honor of the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Israel and Germany, Tel Aviv's Beit Lessin Theater joined forces with the Baden State Theater in bringing to the stage real-life love stories of some 35 mixed Israeli-German couples. The play is comprised of short collages that bring forth surprising, amusing, and at times also painful testimonies of those who must face different mentalities, stereotypes, cultures, and of course, historical clashes. Now, all of that on the way to true love is already a challenge, and we are joined in studio by two of the actors. I'm not turning to, you know, a love couple, don't worry. Two of the actors of the new play Love Hurts, boy does it ever, from Baden, Florentina Kraft, good morning to you. Good morning. And lovely to have you with us, and Vitali Friedland, good morning to you.
Good morning.
And before we take a closer look at this, let's take a look at Mandy Kargosowski's report about this project here in Tel Aviv, and then discuss.
I'm from Israel. Oh, does it mean anything to you?
No. Well, sorry, I never met anybody from Israel.
So now you meet someone.
In Tel Aviv's Beit Lessin Theater, rehearsals are at full force just ahead of opening night of the new play, Love Hurts, a co-production with the Baden State Theater. 35 real-life love stories between Germans and Israelis are brought to the stage in a series of brief collages.
I'm working a lot in Germany, and I know many mixed couples, Israeli and Germans, so I thought that it's an issue. I know many separate stories, but I thought maybe we can, from the private stories, go to the larger scale, to the larger picture of it.
Love Hurts was created in honor of the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Germany and Israel. It examines the different stereotypes, mentalities, and characteristics of the two cultures. Those that often clash when coming together, as manifested on the personal level of boy meets girl.
Just because any crazy old guy, I don't know, 4,000 years ago, heard voices in the desert getting crazy, cut off his penis and the penises of all his family, doesn't mean that I have to do it. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry for shouting.
This is not shouting in our family.
Yes, but for me, it is shouting.
70 years after it ended, the Holocaust is still perhaps the most dominant force, as new generation couples from both nationalities try to come to terms with history.
I hate Germans.
Why do you hate Germans? Do you know any Germans?
No, I had friends that dated Germans. It always ended with a disaster.
So you hate Germans because they split up with your friends?
No, because of what they did to my people.
I think that Holocaust is casts still such a big shadow over everything. Maybe my big surprise is how present this shadow from the past is still there.
Love Hurts is performed in German, Hebrew, and English, with German and Israeli actors. There will be a total of 5 performances in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, followed by an additional 5 in Baden.
Joined in studio by two of the actors from this amazing project. And Florentina, I want to start with you because you're German. Of course, yes. Welcome to my studio.
And she's a girl.
And she's a girl. Ladies first, too.
That's right.
There's that. Does the Holocaust for Germans, because I know it does for Israelis, does it still cast such a shadow? Or is there a feeling in Germany sometimes by younger generation, because you're young, how old are you?
I'm 28.
You're 28, you're very young, trust me. Is there a feeling that, you know, it's a shadow that you want to already go away, because it's not of your generation?
I heard it 2 times now, and I was really shocked that people said, you're the 3rd generation, you don't really care anymore, do you? And I was like, oh, I do care. Of course I do. Yeah. It's a big topic, and yes, we have it in history class, like for 6-7 years, only Holocaust. So it's still a big issue, and I don't think that it can ever be gone.
No, I'm sure it can never be gone, and I'm actually asking, not from a criticizing point, and I think that I know it's within the education system, which is phenomenal, but is there sometimes not a feeling that I am young, I'm in my 20s, the grandparents of my grandparents did something awful, why do I have to pay for it?
Actually, I don't feel like I mean, people don't come to me and tell me like, it was you and it was your grandparents and don't you feel ashamed? It never ever happened to me. Yeah, no, never.
And the joining of this project, Vitaly, I'm gonna start with you. The idea of to join, because it's a very big topic. It's a terrible thing. I'm a German Jew. Half of my family was wiped out. But it's a topic that engulfs and really grasps the Israeli society very, very much, doesn't it?
Yes.
How did you feel going into this project?
Well, first of all, as you know by my name, I came from Russia, and from a Jewish family, and I don't have the real connection to the Holocaust, but I have a connection to the Second World War.
The Second World War, right.
And of course, my family wanted to move to Israel because of anti-Semitism, so the subject is very close to me.
Right.
And I really wanted to meet German people and to be in Germany. I think it's very important to understand, and this is what the show is talking about, that behind the history, there are always people.
Very true.
And humans.
Right.
It was a very dark period, I think, in Germany's history. But we have to know now that we live in a different world, and we have to accept it. And we, of course, I'm talking about my generation. This is for certain. But I think the older generation, for them, it's so incomprehensible.
Incomprehensible.
Yes. So we have to do this to jump over this gap, and to try and combine the cultures and live like a society in peace. Right. And we as Israelis, we have to, we live in a war zone. Like
you don't even do question. I think we can live in a war zone. Yeah.
We live in a war zone, and we really have to find all the countries we can to make peace with, and to live in peace.
And to live in peace.
Yes.
Amen to that, to those phenomenal words. I mean, I hope you're right. You're young and hopeful and naive. I'm old and sarcastic. But, and I want to ask you, is this your first time in Israel?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you like it?
I like it very much. I really enjoy it, yes.
Tell me a little bit about this project. Why did you as an actress join it?
Actually, I joined it because the theater decided that
I had no choice. Okay.
But when I heard that there is a cooperation with a theater in Tel Aviv, I was like, I really want to do it. I really want to, and so I'm very happy that we do it. And it's very interesting to work with Israeli actors and with a director, because it's different.
Because they're so good.
Yeah, because they're so good.
She was being Europeanly diplomatic. But yeah, that is a great answer. I'm a daughter of an actress. I'm going to take that home. It's very interesting. Wonderful, guys. This is the name of the whole project. Well, first of all, it's Love Hurts, right? And it's the Baden Theater with Beit Lissin in Israel. And I urge anybody in the region, in the war-torn region, to come and see it. Stay with us in studio, you're locked in. We're moving to our next item, which has nothing to do with the Holocaust. And that would be Ami Kaufman.
That's an understatement.
Understatement of the year. It's the Ami Kaufman with the viral spiral, which is the web review. Speaking of newer generations and younger people, what is trending, dear?
Well, speaking of web, I mean, we have to talk about Google. Google has a new logo. Now, we wouldn't, if it was just a regular company, I don't think we'd really be talking about a company changing its logo.
No,
but when Google does it, we talk about it. You can see it here. It just looks a little cleaner, a little sharper, a little less, rough at the edges, I guess. But the E at the end is still
the
at that strange
conspiracy theorist in me is already thinking, what's behind this new change?
Well, they did have this new. They said a few weeks ago that they're having this new company called Alphabet, which Larry Page is going to run, and Google will be like a subsidiary, a smaller company inside Alphabet.
Which was
So maybe things are happening in Google. And
it's the same colors, but the font is slightly different.
But we talk about it because everybody sees that logo so many times.
Look at how this world world has changed that adult people are sitting around discussing the logo of Google.
Well, you know what? I've been seeing Google a lot more recently because I now have an 8-year-old who asks a lot of questions that I have no clue what the answers are, and I tell her, go to Google.
Yeah.
Yesterday she asked me, why is the sky blue?
Hold on.
I have no idea. I
don't
had to
know,
Google
but
that.
yes, yeah. Daddy's just checking his phone. Yes.
After some viral videos. This is from Fox News, Fox 5 in San Diego. Brad Wills was reporting about just a nice day in San Diego. Let's see what happens to him.
Let's see.
Practice, what is up? That's because it's hot outside. Stuff like that happens. Was that live? Are we live? Oh, brother.
Brad Wills either got attacked by a large bug or a small drone. I'm not sure which. He needs to shake it off, though.
That was live.
Was that live? Yes, that was live. Okay, by the way, that was live too. I'm just telling you guys. It was just
my God.
Yeah, that was all live.
What have we done?
Yes.
There's a big bug there over there.
Bug there over there.
Okay. There's a new research out that says kids with 4-day school weeks score better in math. This is done by Georgia State University and Montana State University.
I don't want any of my children to see this report.
I think, why?
Do you want the kids just in school just for 4 days? You don't want it for 5 days?
I don't know. It'd just be fun for the kids.
What do you do in the fifth day?
I don't know.
Okay,
exactly. I don't know. Okay, maybe you're right. You're convincing
me. I'm thinking of me. Yeah.
But you know, in the States, 4-day weeks. First of all, they helped school districts to lower transportation expenses and other expenses, and they already exist in New Mexico, Wyoming, and Colorado. And they prove that kids are more rested, teachers are more rested, there's less absentees, and it saves a lot of money.
Listen, I will totally go for that if we also get a 4-day work week.
I'm with you on that.
Exactly.
Totally with you on that.
There you go. And
you ever heard of anyone called Tila Tequila?
No, but I want to.
I have no idea who she is as well, but apparently she is in Celebrity Big Brother. But on Friday, she was kicked out of Celebrity Big Brother for, and we were speaking about Germany and stuff like this. She in 2013, she posted a picture on Facebook where she was in front of the Auschwitz camp, wearing this is the picture, wearing a Nazi badge and holding a pistol and some look like an SS cap there.
Why would anybody do
under that picture, listen to what she said.
Yes.
She said she called Hitler a brilliant artist who was ahead of his time, and then she said she has the same hopes and dreams as Hitler. So
and that would be to die in a bunker. Okay.
To paint bad.
To paint bad, exactly. Be a very bad painter. Yeah.
So she was kicked out.
I think anybody with the name of Tila Tequila should be kicked out from anywhere.
Right.
That's Big Brother England, isn't it? Yes.
And look at how I make look at how I make the connections.
So
we're
the transition of everything.
We're going to Auschwitz now.
Yeah. You're never coming back to Israel, are you?
I don't know. You can see this this headline from the Huffington Post. You can see the picture here has been viral about. It's very hot in Poland right now. And they put these sprinklers outside of the thing, and it. You see, that was the reaction. That was the reaction. That was the exact reaction that a lot of people had on the web to this picture because it, reminded people of the gas chambers.
Of course.
So Auschwitz said it's just been very hot. There's nothing we could do about it, and we will remove them pretty soon. They had this weird sense at the end of their response.
Right.
They said, one more thing. It's really hard for us to comment on some suggested historical references since the mist sprinkles do not look like showers, and the fake showers installed by Germans inside some of the gas chambers were not used to deliver gas into them. Zyklon B was dropped into the gas chambers in a completely different way through holes in the ceiling or airtight drops in walls. That's the official response.
That's the official Polish response.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me because I have a little bit of Polish in my ancestry.
Yeah.
I have to say, but yeah. Okay, smile.
And look at how I keep on with the connections. Look at this. I'm
terrified of what you're going to bring out now.
No, we're sticking with sprinklers now. But this is Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton was in the Hamptons at a really, really posh event at a house, the house of Tory Burch, who is a very famous designer.
Yes.
And some of the people who were there were Anna Wintour, the editor of Vogue, Martha Stewart, Donna Karan, and Barney's owner, Richard Perry.
I have to say something about this. This is why this woman's not going to win.
Because she's dealing with the 1% still, right?
Yes.
Okay, but listen, what happened to the 1%? The minute she started speaking, the sprinklers in this $38 million estate went on, and everybody got drenched. There are reports, though, of course, Anna Wintour's hair was not damaged.
Was not damaged. If Anna Wintour's hair was not damaged, but I'm thinking of a picture of Hillary Clinton standing there. That, first of all, it's terribly damaging to her campaign. That being drenched and during a speech, whatnot, she's being washed away.
The Republicans are going to have a field day with that one, right?
This one. Exactly. So that's the frightening thing.
Yeah.
sadly, all the time. One quick one, last one.
We have a really quick video that is going viral. I love it. It really makes me laugh. Can we see it?
Let's try and take a look. Let's take a look. Video. This is a guy
called Kevin Sines who said, "Okay, I'm at this toy store. I'm going to press this. You know, the ducks that make noise.
Yeah.
Let's press the whole cart." For some reason, it is going viral all over the web, and a lot of memes about it. And you know what? I watched it, I think, 10 times.
10 times. I have to explain to our guests in studio, Ami, okay, just has no life. That's what it is. And that's kind of the item. Thank you very much, my dear man. When we get back, do stay with us, because it's a special new Instagram corner, so to speak, by the fabulous Tal Shalev about the American campaign. They're all shooting themselves, running and doing fabulous things. Stay with us. First, the news. Good morning, I-24 News Morning Edition. I'm looking down for the date. It is still September 2nd, 2015. It's the place to be because I am joined by the gorgeous, very, very good-looking Shai Ringel.
Sorry.
I thought she was referring to me.
I also thought.
I was gunning for that. By the gorgeous Shai Ringel and the incredibly intelligent Tal Shalev. But Shai Ringel of the Tube magazine, anything that is important in the tech world, what is?
Okay, let's start with a very nice story about the Ethiopian space program.
Sounds, I'm going to say something controversial. That sounds very, very hard to swing, the Ethiopian space program. Let's take a look. There's a report, right?
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
High above the crowded streets of Addis Ababa sits Ethiopia's space program. 2 metal domes housing ultra-modern telescopes, each a meter in diameter. Operational for only a few months, the specialized equipment, the first in Eastern Africa, has propelled Ethiopia into an elite club of African countries to have embarked on the space program.
It is an integral part of any development cycle. Without the help of science and technology, I'm afraid that nothing can be achieved to mass scale. So our main priority has always been to inspire the young scientists and the kids and everything to be involved.
The space program, funded by Ethiopian Saudi business tycoon Mohammed Al-Amoudi, was set up in 2004 to promote astronomy, as well as provide a technical boost to aid in the country's already rapid development. It has a bold mission: to build a society with a highly developed scientific culture that enables Ethiopia to reap the benefits accruing from space science and technology. But its supporters have had to battle to convince the authorities that in a country still one of the poorest in the world, the exploration of space is not a luxury.
The people's idea was to say they are crazy because at that time, the Ethiopia needs to be food security. The attention of the government, the attention of the higher authority is to secure food. Then since we are poor, then this is not a time to start space and technology program. This was the idea.
Over time, support for the program has grown. Ethiopia now plans to build another observatory in the northern mountains around Lalibela, and the government hopes to put a satellite in orbit within 5 years for the monitoring of farmland and to boost communications.
But the space applications are very fundamental. We cannot postpone it. We cannot postpone it. Because postponing that means we are allowing ourselves to live in poverty.
It seems that in Ethiopia, both for those grounded on Earth and with their head in the stars, the prospect of conquering space is an attractive one.
I know. And you know, Shai, I'm going to stand corrected because it is tragic and actually heartbreaking to see that, which is, you know, a country so poor. Why do they want a space program is the interesting thing.
It's problematic. It's a space program built by a Saudi millionaire.
Right.
So it's not exactly the country's
initiative
here.
I'm assuming the country's initiative would be to go for more food and work for their people.
But it's a good start for them to have a space program, to start reach for the sky and start educate.
I actually just start to have hope for something.
Yeah.
In many ways. Yeah.
And there are a couple of countries in Africa who have already space programs. Actually, did you know there's a Palestinian space program?
I actually knew that there's a Palestinian space program.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sadly, not as successful as the Israeli one. But yeah, both are not veering that well.
Yeah.
That's it. Moving along. What else do you have?
Okay. Let's talk about Apple.
Please.
Let's go to first world problems.
Yes.
Apple, they have an big event next week exactly. So we'll start and talk about the rumors.
The rumors, yes, that's what we love to do on this show.
This is a very cute advertisement Apple had in 1997.
I love it. School of Rock.
Yeah.
That's School of Rock.
And this is the Apple TV. The Apple TV is going to be probably the biggest star of the event. Sorry, iPhone.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay, because
probably.
I mean, Apple TV has been promised to me since I would say 2010 to be the biggest event.
Yeah,
and it's yet to be launched in a way that
they already have the machine, the Apple TV.
They have exactly.
And there were a lot of rumors about Apple launching their own screen. That's not gonna happen.
Do we know what's gonna happen?
We know they're going to have a new Apple TV. It's all rumors and insiders from inside the company. Usually,
no, clearly, but I'm asking because it's supposed to revolutionize our business as well. That it's going to basically affect people like me, you, and the very intelligent Tal Shalev.
they already lost it, meaning that Apple wanted to launch that 10 years ago, and now there's Netflix, now there's Hulu, even HBO have their own service now. So Apple are going to get late into the game. But Variety published a story that insiders from the company are talking about the fact that Apple wants original content, which means that they're going to have a streaming service rival to that of Netflix.
I was about to say, to explain in layman's terms to the people watching us, that means they're going head-to-head with Netflix.
Yeah, they're going to have a Netflix, they're going to have original content on that. They have a lot of money, and a lot of it is cash, which means that they can buy a studio if they want.
Oh my God! You know what? This is actually the revolutionizing of. It's becoming it's going to be the old Hollywood system, studio system.
Yeah.
Where in the 20s you owned big talents because we're seeing these huge talents gravitate towards Netflix.
Yeah,
and that's going to happen with Apple.
We already saw that. Apple did it to Apple Music. They brought a lot of talent to Apple Music. But now what they're trying to do is they are getting into television, which is a problematic business because Microsoft failed there when they launched their own original content to Xbox. Sony failed for the PlayStation. Apple has a lot to lose here. They can be seen for the first time as losers.
Well, I think time will tell because, I mean, they have been beating everybody in many cases. People would argue certain things. I know we're not going to enter that debate, but it's something to look forward for next week. Fascinating, and you will be here to tell us all about it. It is the time of the week to move. Yes, hold on, lean back. Tal Shalev, not as gorgeous as you, but here with the Instagram politicians Instagram corner of the week. Take it away.
Okay, we're going to start with our favorite duo, Trump-Bush. It's I try.
I want to ask you, I was away on vacation. I came back. Why is Trump still running?
Oh, my God. You're so out of line. Trump is the only one running. So this week, in the past few weeks, he's been intensifying his attacks against Bush on Instagram. Let's see the video he released a few days ago on Instagram. Lord. Let's watch it.
Let's watch.
Yes, they broke the law, but it's not a felony. It's kind of it's an act of love.
So this is a typical attack ad
First of all, I have to say I love it. It's like a Schwarzenegger movie line. Forget love, it's time to get tough.
It's a typical attack ad form. They take a quote, they misrepresent it. It's out of context with spooky music. This is the concept that Trump is really good at. The Bush campaign responded. First of all, it posted a photo of a newspaper of the New York Times with a dedication from Trump to Nancy Pelosi, the Democrat. The goal of the Bush campaign now is to try to call attention to Trump's past political donations to Democrats. So that is the first one. And let's see the video they posted yesterday.
Then why are you a Republican? I have no idea. Then why are you a Republican? I have no idea.
Well, and the caption is, why are you a Republican, Donald Trump? Well, the answer is, you're not. But the problem is that whenever Bush responds to Trump, he actually emboldens Trump's depiction of him as someone with low energy, because you just cannot compare the two of them.
And not only that, you know, if you take even the symbols of it, in the Bush campaign, you see the New York Times and this whole elite thing. With Trump, I'm going to speak to, you know, it's like Schwarzenegger. It's, I'm tough. It works.
But we also have to commend Trump for using Instagram a lot and just tell a love story, a great story, that one of Trump's advisors was asked whether he had plans to buy traditional TV, radio, or print ads. His answer was, why should I spend my money when I'm getting so much for free?
And I'm sorry, I think we need Shai Ringel's expression right now. From the yes, the tech people are smiling. Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to another duo, but one that is not in a rivalry, but actually working together in Russia. Do you know that President Putin's popularity is on the decline? So this is a great time to release footage of an enthusiastic working out with Prime Minister Medvedev in his gym in Sochi. This was basically a Putin-Medvedev mandate, boosting their image as masculine. Do you know that Putin...
I'm going to say this.
And
with all the love, I'm sorry, I'm going to say this with all the love. To the, you know, seriously, to the lesbian gay community. This is so gay.
Oh.
Come on. This is yeah.
Wait till you see the video.
Okay,
Let's see the video.
Let's see the video, yeah. Oh, come on. Yeah. No, yes, he did. He patted him on the back. And now we are grilling meat.
I thought
we grill meat, and then we have some tea.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Yes. This is a... Okay.
And just so you know that last month, Putin met with the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and he said that he wants to give yoga a try. So I'm basically waiting for the yoga video of Vladimir Putin.
Yes. Listen, but from the man who brought us himself bare-chested, on a horse, I wouldn't expect anything else.
I'm a sucker.
I'm a sucker, exactly.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Moving on to closer to home, it was Rania, Queen Rania's birthday. She turned 45 this week.
Where was that? How did we miss that, Tom?
We didn't miss it. We're celebrating it today. Okay, what's happening? Let's see what greetings she got from her husband. This is from her husband, King Abdallah, wishing Her Majesty Queen Rania Al Abdallah a happy birthday. Then her son also, Prince Al Hussein, many returns of healthy, joyful, and successful years to come.
Look at how pretty they are.
Wait, I have a big surprise for you soon. And also Rania herself posted a photo, a thank you photo. Thank you for all the lovely birthday wishes. Yes. But I want you to meet Princess Iman, who has emerged in the past few weeks again and again in Rania's Instagram account. She is basically the Rania mini-me. She is stunning. She's 18 years old. We can just pass through the photos, and you can see how stunning she is.
I'm sorry, you know what? The royal family of Jordan seriously puts the Brits to shame.
Totally.
Don't it? And they win. Hands down.
Princess Iman is amazing.
No, hands down. They win. I know, Shai. I know this is not your moment, but you know. Stream with us, as they say. Yes.
And to our own First Lady,
please,
who is also trying to get in fashion and to improve her fashion etiquette. This is the cover of the a religious women's magazine that will be published next week. A cover interview with Sarah Netanyahu. Right. But as we've been discussing a lot, Sarah Netanyahu has this new fashion entourage that basically follows her every way. And luckily for me, they also post everything on Instagram with the hashtag Sarah Netanyahu. So this is Jan Cohen. He's the hairdresser, and basically he's like the producer of this whole...
I'm sorry, this has been photoshopped.
This, he claims, has not been photoshopped.
Okay, whatever. Yes. And
we also have a photo from the designer. This is the designer. Her name is Noya Fiber. She's a very high-class young Israeli designer who basically has adopted Sarah as her model, as her presenter.
Right.
And also, there's the last photo.
Business move.
Is there another photo?
Yes.
Yes. This is from Chen El-Kabet. She is the makeup artist. So basically, we have an ongoing.
Her entire entourage of makeup and wardrobe people are posting her pictures on Instagram.
And they're also actively doing PR for her. Every time Sarah gets a cover magazine, John Cohen, the hairdresser, gets on on numerous TV and radio shows and discusses how great Sarah Netanyahu is and how lovely she is, and reiterates or strengthens her claims against the media, which accuses her and incites against her.
I know I am from the media, but to me, I have to say, and this is just my opinion, that the attempt to First Lady Americanize an Israeli wife of a prime minister, sometime not in place. My opinion, I hold on it. Thank you, China, that you approve that. Okay, one last one, really quickly.
We're done. But just on that note, I can say that the fact that Sarah Netanyahu started to become much more First Lady-like actually came when you notice the timing, when she started feeling threatened by Geula Even, who is one of Netanyahu's political rivals' wife, and she is a TV presenter, and she was very much portrayed as the next First Lady, and and she loved that also. I think that kind of prompted Sarah Netanyahu to try and improve her image. But we have to say and give a good word to this whole style entourage. They're doing a really good job. If you take a look at photos 2 or 3 years ago, before they were in the picture, she did not have this style.
True, but black works. She's wearing only black.
Yeah, actually, I didn't bring that picture because I didn't want to embarrass her, but yesterday I finally saw a picture of her not in black.
Okay. Listen, there is a picture of Sarah Netanyahu not wearing black. With that, we're going to finish the show. Do stay with the channel, of course, tapping tomorrow morning, I-24 News Morning Edition, the place you should be because you get to meet the gorgeous Shai Rengel. And stay tuned for the channel for more news.